Something that maybe a lot of you participated in over the last season of football and going into other sports, some fantasy football and fantasy sports betting. As you know, the industry, I guess, has been kind of questioned whether or not it's gambling. You look at what happened in New York. It's I think it's in the court system up in New York. Here in Texas, it's been questioned as well. And joining me to talk about their side of things, to talk about the fantasy sports stuff, is chairman of the Fantasy Sports Trade Association, Peter Schoenke. Peter, thanks for coming on the show today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Now, right now, the sites like FanDuel.com and other sites that are out there like it, the legality is being questioned here in the state of Texas of those websites, correct?
Yes, exactly. So, and what we're trying to do is, be proactive and trying to let legislators and the Attorney General know there that, there are 3 million Texans who play fantasy sports, and we don't want that taken away. Let's let these games continue. Well,
it's something that I know the Texas Attorney General is looking at. Other states have looked at this as well. I guess the argument on one hand from some who would say that this is just, pure gambling and it's something that needs to be regulated by the states. Is that where opponents are coming from?
Yeah, I mean, we contend, and we always have, that it's a game of skill. And if you talk to anybody who plays fantasy sports, they'll say, oh, yeah, it is a game of skill. There's always one person in your league or that's a little bit, sharper on picking players and, running to the transaction wire, making trades, all the skills that it takes to win. And it's no different in daily fantasy with FanDuel and DraftKings. So unfortunately, or fortunately, those guys have, raised a lot of money, spent a lot of money on advertising. They're successful businesses. They've got a good business model. And then suddenly that's drawn a lot of scrutiny for this hobby, which, for over 30 years has been, no one's considered it gambling, but now it's just with the attention that it's got, and people don't know it. A lot of the legislators and attorney generals aren't really familiar with fantasy sports, so there's a lot of confusion, and suddenly we found ourselves in the dilemma that we're in.
Is that why this is all of a sudden a big issue? Because this season, all of a sudden, sites like FanDuel and DraftKings really popped up and made it big, and you see the advertising everywhere. Is that what kind of tipped the hand of some of these state lawmakers, you think?
Oh, yeah, definitely. FanDuel and DraftKings each raised over $300 million. They spent a lot of money on advertising this fall, which was great for their business. It's got them a lot of customers. The fantasy sports industry is very healthy, but, the price of success is it's drawn a lot of scrutiny from regulators and legislators who I think just don't really understand, what the hobby's all about. And, at first glance, they think it's gambling when it's not.
Well, for those who would say, you're wagering money, basically. You're putting money on the line. You may lose that money. You may win some money. For a lot of people out there who are listening, what would you tell them to say that's not gambling, though, that's something different?
Well, the laws in most states in the country say that if you have a contest, and it's for money, if it's a contest of skill, where there's more skill or almost all skill, then it's not considered gambling. So bowling, you can go to a bowling alley and enter a contest for money and win prizes, and that's not considered gambling. And you can play sports, right? You can play a golf tournament or a tennis tournament, and similarly, you can win prizes. So that's what it comes down to. And we strongly believe that fantasy sports and daily fantasy sports are games of skill, and therefore they're not gambling.
Visiting with Peter Schoenke about the issue of these websites, DraftKings and FanDuel, and there are other websites out there that are like them, fantasy sports sites where folks can log on and and I'm with you. I don't necessarily know how much skill. I've done fantasy football. I haven't done the FanDuel or DraftKings yet. But, I've done fantasy football, and you have to keep up with the game. You have to keep up with what's going on out there. It's not just like playing the lottery where you go and put some money out there and hope to win. It's not like that at all. And when I look at something like this, I look at these are a bunch of adults who are playing a game. They're having fun. Leave them alone. That's where I come from on this. Where are the protections built in as far as the websites go that, for those who are concerned about the children who are out there, where are the protections built in there?
Well, you have to be 18 to play. You know, we certainly don't think pay for playing fantasy sports or for minors. And we have another, you know, and one thing we're doing around the country is, you know, we're going to local governments, you know, state governments, and saying, hey, listen, if you have problems or you think there's consumer protection issues, let's talk about those. These are new products. They've, you know, daily fantasy has really come to prominence in the last couple of years with the, you know, handheld technology and phones. You know, these are, you know, the laws that are on the books may not cover every aspect of this, so let's try and improve those. But let's not try to, you know, ban it outright or condemn it as gambling when that's not the case.
Let me ask you this. Do you think, and I received a message about this just a minute ago, do you think that because so much money is being made here and so much money is being dealt with, that the states and maybe the state of Texas, where this is being looked at by the Texas Attorney General, do you think the states just want their cut?
Well, yeah, I think that unfortunately across the country, you know, the gravitational pull of sort of the legalized gambling world has kind of, you know, sucked us in when they've seen the dollar values and think it's gambling. So there should be some aspects of that, you know, around the country. Whether that's the case in Texas or not, I'm not really sure. But, you know, I think the answer to that is, you know, let's call it a game of skill. Let's keep it playing. And if there are concerns or issues, you know, as far as consumers being protected and the games being fair, the industry is all for trying to, you know, solve those, you know, legislatively, or, you know, let's figure out how to do that as opposed to just, you know, going what New York did and trying to say it's gambling and shut it down.
Visiting with Peter Schoenke, chairman of Fantasy Sports Trade Association, also the president of RotoWire.com. Peter, if people are concerned out there and maybe they're like me and say, hey, you know what, if adults want to get involved with fantasy football, let adults do what adults do. How do they need to contact? Who do they need to contact? What do they need to do to get involved?
So go to fantasysportsforall.com. And there's a way to contact your legislatures and your local government officials and tell them that, you know, I play fantasy sports and I want to keep doing it. You know, don't take it away from me.
All right. And Peter, is it okay if I call you next year when I'm involved in fantasy football and get some advice?
Yeah, definitely.
Can we do that?
If you're going to go play, you know, if you're going to go play roulette, you're not calling me up for tips.
There you go. Hey, Peter, thank you very much. Appreciate your time today. And good luck to y'all out there. I'm with you on this as far as letting adults, do what they want to do as far as the fantasy football stuff. It's you do need to know something about football, and you need to know something about the players and who they're playing against. And if you really want to do well, you're going to take some time doing all that. So I'm with you on this one. Appreciate you dialing in today.
You're welcome. Thanks a lot.
Have a good one. That's Peter Schoenke. He's the chairman of Fantasy Sports Trade Association, president of RotoWire.com.